What's going on, my people? This is Pastor Curtis from Metro East. Man, I want to thank you for tuning in, no matter where you're at, whether you're in your living room, at the office, watching me on your iPad or cell phone. Man, I'm grateful that you are joining with us on the second episode of Wisdom on Wednesdays, where we are looking at how do we move beyond simply thinking about wisdom to living out wisdom in a very practical way. Now, this week, I'm excited. We're going to talk about money and stewardship, right? And we're going to talk about the reality that, man, when it comes to money, problems seem to follow, right? Like that's how the song in the 90s sung with Biggie and Puff Daddy, whatever he's calling himself nowadays, when they sung, more money we come across, the more problems we see. Everybody resonated. Even though we were all poor, we sung the song. Here you got a song that talking about more money, more problems. No matter whether we had more money or no money, we all can relate to the reality that with money, there just seems to be complications and issues and problems, even though there's good that can come out of that. So what do we do with money, and how do we live this thing out very practically? So let's look at it. Let's just dive in. Step number one. Lean. In fact, I'm going to walk through 3 L words, all right? Lean, learn, and lane. Lean, learn, lane. First, step 1, lean. Lean on God. All right? It talks about honoring God with our lives, especially our finances. To lean on means to trust. And not just to trust in some sort of cognitive, emotional way, but to order your life. Do practical things that expresses that trust. One practical thing that you can do is to give generously. To honor the Lord in your finances is to give generously to the things that God is excited about. The local church, local charities, missionaries. And when you give generously, see, giving has this weird way that the practical part of opening up your hands generously, it does something to the heart. Like as we open our hands, God frees our heart, frees it from pride, frees it from fear, whether it's pride in abundance or fear of scarcity. No matter what side of the equation, more money or no money, giving generously does a work in your heart. Now, parents, one practical thing I want to encourage you to do that really my parents did growing up. One of the things that they did to help form my heart to always seeing God first in my finances, every time they would give me my allowance, they'd also include this little white envelope with a tithe envelope. It was already filled out with my name, and they put it with my allowance. And every time I received my allowance, it was a practical reminder the first person I think about with my money is God. Secondly, learn. You learn first. Learn your financial narrative. It may sound weird, but all of us grew up in a home that had a particular financial narrative, whether it's pride or fear or man, our worth is in working real hard. Learn your financial narrative, because many times that narrative is working in the background and we don't realize it, and it becomes a louder narrative than the gospel narrative. So what is your financial narrative that you grew up with, and what narrative needs to be replaced by the gospel? It's interesting. Only about 32% of Americans actually budget. That means the majority of us actually don't know where we spend and how much we spend. We got to learn. We got to learn our own financial situation, where every dollar and cent goes. A practical thing that you can do right now, get a personal budget, a financial management system. There's many of them, YNAB, Mint, Microsoft Money, whatever. Do your research, but pick one. In fact, I want to encourage you this week, do research and pick one this week, because there is no growing wisdom in money if you have no idea where your money is going. So first, lean, second, learn, and third, lane. Comedian Kevin Hart, years ago, he had this bit about how he entered into stardom, and as he started making more money, he started hanging out with rich athletes, and he said he had to learn real quick, stay in your financial lane, because rich athletes got a lot more money than he had, and he kept trying to keep up with them, and he learned real fast, this is not going to end well if I just start jumping in their lane. I got to stay in my own financial lane. So what is your financial lane, and what does it look like for you to stay in your lane? Like there is this unspoken pressure we all feel to compare ourselves to somebody else, look like them, strive like them. And so identify what areas in your life where you are not living in your lane. Eating out. right? Like all your friends can eat out and you want to keep up with them. You know you can't eat out every week like that. All right, you need to go home and eat some ramen noodles. Eating out, entertainment, clothes, cars. Or some of you, it's gifts. You'll have the excuse, well, I'm not buying for me, it's for other people. If you can't afford buying a present for everybody, that's not your lane. God said there is freedom when you accept the lane that God has sovereignly allowed you to be in and you run that lane really well. Whether it's a more money lane or a no money lane, run your lane well. So what is one thing you can do this week to get wisdom when it comes to money? Remember, wisdom is calling out. Are you listening and responding? See you next week.